Chapter 4. Don't Eat That. At 19, I, Jordan, begged my mom to take a picture of me. Not for a special occasion like a birthday or college graduation. I wanted proof of how sick I was for when my miracle would come. My mom refused at first. When I became a father, I finally grasped her hesitation. No sane parent wants to capture a forever image of their once healthy, 6-foot-tall, 180-pound athletic son whittled down to a skeletal 111 pounds. I also imagine it's hard to say no to your child who is literally starving to death from an incurable disease. I didn't smile in the photo. My prognosis at that point was grim at best. Lifelong, irreversible surgical procedures or inevitable death. My skin, stretched thin and nearly transparent, clung to protruding bones. Veins etched beneath like a vivid map. Protruding cheekbones veiled by a wild and wiry tangle of beard that I was too weak to shave. It had been more than a year since the onset of Crohn's disease symptoms, which had escaped the treatment plan of nearly 70 health practitioners from 7 countries. A complication from what my gastroenterologist called the worst case of Crohn's disease he had ever seen caused a severe muscle wasting known as cachexia. But that was just one item in a list that kept on growing. My ailments included endocarditis, prostate and bladder infections, extreme anemia, chronic electrolyte imbalance, malabsorption syndrome, parasitic infections, jaundice, and arthritis. It felt like death by 1,000 maladies. I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that I tried every treatment under the sun during my 2-year battle. Both of my parents were health conscious and involved in the organic food movement at a time when it was more controversial than mainstream. So not only did I try conventional therapies, including a pharmacological arsenal of meds, I also took a more holistic route. Almost 500 different miracle products? Definitely. Consults and plans with several famous diet practitioners, like Drs. Barry Sears and Robert Atkins of the famed Zone and Atkins diets, respectively? You bet. $150,000 spent on natural health treatments? Of course. Stem cell therapy with injectable sheep cells taken from embryos? Why not? An experimental drug made from the juices of the Venus flytrap plant? Let's do it. Nothing worked. A year after that photo was taken, I met a man who told me that if I followed a diet based on the Bible, I could be healed. I had nothing to lose at that point and a great testimony to gain. I spent the next 40 days devouring, living, eating, and breathing the Word of God. 40 days after changing my diet to one following biblical principles, I had gained 29 pounds. Within 4 months, I'd gained another 20 pounds and was well on my way to a total health transformation. I had achieved what millions battling illness dream of, a complete recovery. This experience ignited a fierce passion within me to see God's people restored to health, one life at a time. Many claim that Crohn's disease is a life sentence, but I refuse to accept that. From my journey, I've learned that no disease is truly incurable. While some may face greater challenges and may never achieve full wellness, every single person can enhance their health through the potency of whole food nutrition. These time-tested practices reconnect us to a lifestyle that has nourished humanity for millennia. Before we share with you nutrient powerhouses that will fire up your immune system, heighten your energy levels, support healthy weight management, and propel your overall well-being to new heights, we need to talk about what not to eat. Say no to ultra-processed. Nobody is going to dispute the statement that smoking is bad. It's hard to believe that cigarettes were once lauded by tobacco companies and the medical community as non-addictive, along with disturbing claims that they were even good for you. What if we told you that big food companies borrowed the marketing playbook from tobacco giants to convince you that highly processed, or what is dubbed ultra-processed foods, are good for you? And what if we also revealed that these foods are now proven to be just as addictive as smoking? In 2022, a professor of psychology in clinical science at the University of Michigan used the same guidelines from a 1988 report on tobacco addiction to study ultra-processed foods. She found that these unhealthy and readily accessible foods match all the criteria for being addictive and can lead to compulsive eating behaviors. In one study, obese rats would ignore their regular food and even risk electric shocks just to get to processed cakes and chocolates. You may not realize it, but when you reach for that handful of candy, slap ultra-processed meats on slices of white flour bread, or pop a packaged muffin in your mouth, you're setting yourself up for addiction and poor health. What we eat and don't eat matters. Let's talk about what to ditch right now. The Sinister Six. Avoid these nutritional nightmares. If you adopt no other health habits in this book, but immediately stop consuming the following 6 items, we guarantee you'll level up your health game. Number 1, detestable or unclean meats. Number 2, artificial sweeteners. Number 3, ultra-processed and hydrogenated vegetable and seed oils. Number 4, added sugar. Number 5, processed white flour. And number 6, artificial colors. Now let's take a deeper dive. Number 1, detestable or unclean meats as listed in Leviticus chapter 11 and Deuteronomy chapter 14. Read Leviticus chapter 11 and Deuteronomy chapter 14 to digest the full flavor of God, our Creator's mandate on what is good to eat and what is garbage. In short, God forbade his people from eating meat from animals on land without split hooves and cud-chewing ability, which include pig or pork, camel, rabbit, hyrax, mouse, frog, mole, lizard, tortoise, and snail. From the sea that don't have fins and scales, such as shellfish, shrimp, crab, lobsters, clams, mussels, oysters, and scallops, as well as some smooth-skinned species such as catfish and eel. In the air, such as eagles, vultures, buzzards, ostriches, falcons, kites, ravens, seagulls, owls, hawks, storks, herons, hoopoes, jackdaws, and bats. Fowl or poultry such as chicken, turkey, duck, and goose may be eaten. That are winged insects, with a few exceptions. Locusts or grasshoppers and crickets are on the can-eat list. We doubt any of you will need to curb the temptation to dig into a mouse mignon anytime soon, but some of you may be sweating at the thought of giving up bacon. The main reason why God labeled certain animals, birds, and fish as unclean is that they are scavengers, bottom feeders, mobile trash compactors. Think of the garbage disposal in your sink. Imagine filling it up not just with table scraps, but with spoiled food, manure, rotting flesh, small rodents, and remains of dead animals. Our apologies for grossing you out. We're feeling nauseated ourselves. God clearly inspired the adage, "We are what we eat," and this includes the diet of the animals we eat. Better said, we are what they ate. Of all the animals listed as detestable, pigs were probably public enemy number one for the Hebrew people. The creator of the universe and everything in it knew something about a pig's physiology. Pigs have a simple stomach arrangement. Whatever this animal eats goes down the hatch, straight into the stomach, and out the back door in 4 hours max. Unlike a cow, a pig cannot filter toxins from its system. In contrast, animals that God considered clean, such as ox, cow, deer, and buffalo, have multi-chambered stomachs that allow for more efficient breakdown and absorption of nutrients than in monogastric animals. Pigs are famous for eating any swill thrown their way and whatever else they can find under their muddy feet, even dead animals, and, you guessed it, humans too. Have you read the story in the Synoptic Gospels of Jesus healing a demon-possessed man and casting those demons into a herd of pigs that ended up jumping off a cliff or drowning themselves to their deaths? We wonder if Jesus, a good Jewish boy, would have wasted thousands of pounds of viable meat if it was ideal for eating. The ocean's bottom feeders, such as lobsters, crabs, shrimp, and catfish, are in the same category as pigs. These ocean dwellers troll along the seabed, sustaining themselves on fish waste. The good news is that these creatures purify water. The bad news is that their diet consists of mostly you-know-what. They also accumulate heavy metals, which over time can cause organ damage and other health problems for humans. Before we move any further, we want to clarify that our recommendation against these foods is based on biblical health and vitality, not a sin issue. Eating bacon, fried catfish, or popcorn shrimp will not separate you from God on a spiritual level. That said, we believe there are real physical consequences that must be taken seriously. Think of it this way. We can't dodge the fact that God established natural laws that rule our world. You might think, if I get sick, I'll just rely on God's miraculous healing. Or just before walking into a grease-filled fast food joint, some might say, I pray for God to turn these double deluxe bacon cheeseburgers into a health amplifier once they hit my system. That's not how it works, because God's health principles are as steadfast as the law of gravity. We wouldn't leap off a 5-story building expecting God to give us cat-like legs for a flawless landing. Though he has the ability to do that, he created gravity for a reason. The Biblio diet is not about equating certain foods with the condition of our souls, but rather making the right choice to live the life God wants us to lead, healthy and whole. God labeled certain animal meats as unclean or detestable because as the Creator, he understands the impact of consuming what was intended for nourishment versus what was meant to be avoided. Eating detestable things, for example, can increase the risk of illnesses such as diabetes, heart disease, and cancer by introducing toxins into the bloodstream. Every year, Americans consume significant amounts of ultra-processed meat, hot dogs, bacon, lunch meats, sausage, which the World Health Organization classifies as a Group 1 carcinogen, indicating a definitive link to cancer, especially colorectal cancer. In 2022, processed meat sales in the United States reached $29.4 billion, with bacon and prepackaged lunch meat being the top sellers, each accounting for $6.4 billion in sales. American adults consume an average of 38.9 grams of processed meat per day, equivalent to a couple slices of bacon, 1 slice of deli meat, or most of a hot dog or sausage link. Researchers found that consuming just 30 grams of processed meat every day raises your risk of cancer by 18%. Remember in the Bible when Daniel was held captive by and indoctrinated into the Babylonian kingdom? When Daniel was chosen to train to be in the king's service, he remained obedient to God even under dire pressure to eat the king's chosen foods, which likely included meats deemed detestable or unclean by God. Daniel asked for permission for himself and the Hebrew young men with him to continue eating God's way. In our words, he said something like, "I have always honored God's commandments and kept my body undefiled. Give us a chance, 10 days to be exact, to adhere to God's health plan. If we don't outperform your high achievers, we'll switch to the king's diet." See Daniel chapter 1, verses 12 through 14. 10 days later, Daniel and his friends looked healthier and better nourished than any of the young men who ate the royal food. Daniel chapter 1, verse 15. They were armed with more energy, deeper wisdom, and brighter countenances compared with their Babylonian peers. Number 2, artificial sweeteners. You probably best recognize them by their blue, yellow, or pink individual packets. These include aspartame, under the brand names NutraSweet, Equal, and Sugar Twin, sucralose, under the brand name Splenda, saccharin, under the brand name Sweet and Low, and the lesser-known acesulfame potassium, which is commonly used in protein powders. While artificial sweeteners offer the appeal of calorie-free sweetness, their potential side effects raise significant health concerns. These offenders are linked to an increase in diabetes, hypertension, and stroke. And surprisingly, one study found that people who drink 21 diet sodas a week were twice as likely to become overweight as people who didn't drink diet soda. Another study linked the consumption of aspartame and Splenda in pregnant women to obesity in their children. Let's get into some detail about the worst of the artificial sweeteners. Sucralose, under the brand name Splenda. Approved in 1989 for use by the U.S. Food and Drug Association, FDA, sucralose is one of the top artificial sweeteners that's used globally in reduced-calorie and diet foods and beverages. Splenda is the most common sucralose product. Sucralose, derived from sugar, was originally introduced as a natural sugar substitute. In reality, it's a chlorinated sucrose derivative. Sucralose was originally found through the development of a new insecticide compound and wasn't originally intended to be ingested. Because sucralose is 600 times sweeter than sugar, we can easily see how it can contribute to an addiction to overly sweet foods and drinks. A study published in the Journal of Toxicology and Environmental Health found that cooking with sucralose at high temperatures can generate dangerous chloropropanols, a toxic class of compounds. Human and rodent studies demonstrate that sucralose may alter glucose, insulin, and peptide 1 levels, which could potentially impact how your body handles sugar and regulates hunger. Sucralose has been shown to worsen gut inflammation in people who have Crohn's disease. Aspartame, under the brand names NutraSweet, Equal, and Sugar Twin. The FDA approved this artificial sweetener decades ago. It's currently used in thousands of consumer foods and drinks, along with prescription drugs and over-the-counter medications. It hides in places we don't expect. Because aspartame isn't heat stable, it's typically found in drinks and foods that haven't been heated. Aspartame is known to have carcinogenic effects. Animal research has also found that aspartame may impair memory performance and increase oxidative stress in the brain. One alarming study reports that this sugar substitute can predispose babies to metabolic syndrome disorders and, like sucralose, obesity later in life. Saccharin, under the brand name Sweet and Low, has been found to negatively affect gut bacteria, which may lead to microbial imbalance, which causes type 2 diabetes, obesity, and even cancer. Sugar alcohols. While sugar alcohols are not as damaging as artificial sweeteners, you'll find them in many sugar-free gums, baked goods, and sugar substitutes. Xylitol is among the most popular types, with the other varieties including erythritol, isomalt, lactitol, maltitol, mannitol, and sorbitol. While these sweeteners are promoted as natural, they are anything but. They typically undergo extensive processing and are often sourced from genetically modified organisms, GMOs. They are known to cause allergic reactions, headaches, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth or SIBO symptoms, rashes, gas, and bloating. Number 3, ultra-processed and hydrogenated vegetable and seed oils. Most of the oils used in households today are partially hydrogenated and are known as vegetable or seed oils. Extracted from seeds, vegetable oils are widely used in cooking, baking, and processed food production. Many vegetable oil brands are produced from a blend of several different types of oils, which helps cut costs for consumers and manufacturers alike. These liquid fats have been injected with hydrogen gas at high temperatures under high pressure to make them solid at room temperature. Refined vegetable oils became accessible in the 20th century because of a technology that allows the oil to be extracted from seeds and other plant materials, then purified, refined, and often chemically modified. Many of these oils didn't start for human consumption, but were used for industrial purposes in products such as soap, paints, varnishes, textiles, and pesticides. Over time, mainly because they were so cheap to make, the food industry began to chemically process these oils, using trans fats and oxidized byproducts for human use. In the late 1800s, an article in Popular Science described the evolution of cottonseed oil derived from cotton seeds this way. What was garbage in 1860 was a fertilizer in 1870, cattle food in 1880, and table food and many things else in 1890. Crisco, a cooking fat made from cottonseed oil that looked like lard, was the first of the bunch to enter American homes in the early 1900s. Other refined vegetable oils followed, such as canola. It may surprise you that canola is a variant of rapeseed oil, originally used to lubricate engines and other machine parts. High in erucic acid, a natural plant toxin, rapeseed oil is not safe for human consumption. In the 1970s, Canadian scientists developed a genetically modified version branded canola, a combination of the words Canada and low acid oil. Smart move for marketing, but bad news for our health. Why are vegetable and seed oils so bad for us? They're packed with polyunsaturated fatty acids, or PUFAs, the most common being linoleic acid, which is an omega-6 fatty acid. Linoleic acid has been found to be responsible for weight gain more than vilified saturated fats, which we'll get into in Chapter 6. Historically, our ancestors consumed a balanced ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids. Today, however, the widespread use of vegetable and seed oils, as well as meat, eggs, and dairy from animals fed a high-grain diet, has led to a dramatic rise in omega-6 intake. This disruption of balance causes inflammation, which, as you know, precedes many life-altering diseases. Also, PUFAs are highly susceptible to oxidation, especially when exposed to heat, light, or air. This oxidation process produces harmful compounds like trans fats and lipid peroxides, which can lead to oxidative stress and inflammation in the body. In short, these oils are less stable than healthy oils like coconut and olive oils. According to Dr. Kate Shanahan, a board-certified family physician, a leading authority on nutrition and human metabolism, and author of the best-selling book, Dark Calories, vegetable oils change our body chemistry in ways that breed every disease you can name. In her book, Dr. Kate identifies what she calls the hateful eight, specific vegetable oils that she considers the most harmful: soy, corn, canola, cottonseed, sunflower, safflower, grapeseed, and rice bran oils. These oils elevate inflammation and oxidative stress, which is linked to various health issues such as insulin resistance, cardiovascular disease, and other metabolic disorders. Dr. Kate points out that these oils deplete antioxidants in the body and generate toxic free radicals that damage cells and tissue. Take soybean oil. A recent study in the journal Endocrinology explored the effects of different high-fat diets on mice, specifically looking at soybean oil with reduced linoleic acid, and coconut oil. Researchers observed significant effects on the hypothalamus, a brain region crucial for regulating metabolism, body temperature, reproduction, growth, and stress response. They discovered that numerous genes in mice fed with soybean oil were not working correctly, including one responsible for producing oxytocin, a hormone associated with social bonding. In total, around 100 other genes were also affected by the soybean oil diet, suggesting potential implications for energy metabolism, brain function, and conditions like autism and Parkinson's disease. Vegetable oil is a cash cow for the food service industry. In 2020, it made more than $115.8 billion. By 2027, that number is expected to rise to $162 billion. According to an industry insider, without vegetable oil, the food industry would likely destruct. Where can you find vegetable and seed oils? Everywhere in your own home. In fact, they make up about 30% of the calories in your daily diet. Try this experiment. Open your pantry and look at the ingredients list on packaged foods like canned soups, salad dressings, and snacks like crackers and chips. Chances are you're going to find a vegetable or seed oil on many of the labels you read. All those bottles of oil in your pantry with the Heart Healthy label, they are likely processed oil. Just because the name of a vegetable or a healthy-sounding plant precedes the word oil doesn't mean it's good for you. Avoid the hateful eight at all costs: soybean, safflower, cottonseed, corn, canola, sunflower, grapeseed, and rice bran oil. But never fear. Later in this chapter, you'll find healthier alternatives and even more options in the next. Read labels. Additives to avoid. Just like vegetable and seed oils, additives have been invented to change the texture and flavor of food. Many have an FDA classification that they are generally recognized as safe, or GRAS. But this is based on safety studies and research conducted as early as the 1970s. Since that time, many have been linked to problems such as gut issues, cancer, and heart disease. Read the ingredient label or nutrition facts on ultra-processed packaged foods and don't buy any with the following additives: preservatives such as sodium nitrate, sodium nitrite, butylated hydroxyanisole or BHA, butylated hydroxytoluene or BHT, and sodium benzoate. Emulsifiers such as carbamethylcellulose, CMC, and polysorbate 80, P80. Phosphate additives such as sodium phosphate, calcium phosphate, potassium phosphate, disodium phosphate, trisodium phosphate, and phosphoric acid, often used in soft drinks. Potassium bromate, a flour or bread enhancer. Flavor enhancers such as monosodium glutamate, MSG, which can be labeled as yeast extract, hydrolyzed vegetable protein, hydrolyzed plant protein, glutamate, sodium caseinate, textured protein, soy protein isolate, barley malt, and malt extract. Artificial flavors. A good guideline is to buy food with at most 5 ingredients. Added sugar. There is a significant difference between naturally occurring sugars and added sugars. Naturally occurring sugars are found in whole foods, such as fruits that come with essential nutrients and fiber that aid digestion and metabolism. On the other hand, added sugars, which are often found in ultra-processed foods and sugary beverages, provide empty calories without any nutritional benefits. Examples of added sugar foods include cookies, ice cream, cakes, soda, candy, fruit drinks, breakfast cereals, and energy drinks. Most of us recognize that excessive sugar consumption is harmful, but we may not understand the specifics. Consuming too much sugar can increase your risk of the following: cardiovascular disease, nerve damage or neuropathy, kidney damage, diabetic neuropathy, damage to the blood vessels of the retina or diabetic retinopathy, which could cause blindness, cataracts or clouding in the eyes, problems with the feet caused by damaged nerves or poor blood flow, bone and joint problems, skin problems including bacterial infections, fungal infections, and non-healing wounds, infections in the teeth and gums, diabetic ketoacidosis, hyperglycemic hyperosmolar syndrome. Around the 1700s, before the widespread availability of refined sugar, Americans consumed an average of 1 to 2 teaspoons of sugar per day. Today, the average American consumes 17 teaspoons of added sugar daily, representing a shocking 1,033% increase in added sugar consumption over a few centuries. According to the American Heart Association, our nation is consuming more than double the limit recommended for men and triple the limit for women. Children should consume much less sugar, no more than 3 teaspoons a day. To give context, if you feed your children a bowl of Fruit Loops for breakfast, they will have exceeded their daily sugar limit. If you're wondering whether naturally occurring sugar that comes from fruit is bad for you, well, it is in a way. While choosing a high-sugar fruit, such as cherries, grapes, mangoes, or pineapple, is a better alternative than reaching for packaged cupcakes or a bag of M&Ms, if you're diabetic or have sugar sensitivity issues, you should eat them in moderation. Grapes, for instance, have about 16 grams or 4 teaspoons of naturally occurring sugar per 100 grams, or 15 to 20 grapes. Alternatively, a small handful of strawberries contains only 5 grams or 1.2 teaspoons of naturally occurring sugar. Chapter 10 will guide you on how to choose your fruits wisely. Weston A. Price was a prominent early 20th century Harvard-trained dentist and nutrition researcher who I, Jordan, consider the greatest nutritional researcher of all time. He studied the impact of diet on dental and overall health throughout the world. For 25 years, Dr. Price traveled the globe to discover why quote-unquote uncivilized human societies from isolated villages in Switzerland to the native peoples of South America to the Aborigines in Australia, exhibited exceptional dental health, strong constitution, and a low incidence of chronic disease. He discovered a strong connection to the absence of food that made up Western diets, high in refined sugars, white flour, and vegetable oils, what he termed the displacing foods of modern commerce. Conversely, quote-unquote civilized populations were found to have significant declines in dental and overall health, including increased rates of cavities, changes in facial bone structure, and a rise in chronic illnesses such as heart disease and diabetes. Dr. Price's groundbreaking research is documented in his book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. Refined sugar was by far the worst culprit. Number 5, processed white flour. For most of history, grains were consumed in their whole unrefined form, consisting of the germ, bran, and endosperm. Efforts to refine grains became efficient with the invention of the roller mill around 1870, leading to the production of white flour, initially considered a luxury item. As milling techniques modernized, white flour became cheaper and widely available, eventually becoming a staple in the Western diet. Today, 85% of the grains that are part of the American diet come from white flour. This dietary no-no offers little, if any, nutritional value or nutrients like B vitamins, magnesium, and iron, which are eliminated in the refining process. Consuming a diet rich in processed white flour increases the risk of illnesses such as heart disease and diabetes, obesity, and hypertension. The problem with white flour is that it is rarely labeled as such. Any flour ingredient without the word whole in front of it is at best unbleached flour, which is essentially white but made so without using bleach. Number 6, artificial colors. It's almost impossible to buy packaged food from the grocery store, particularly foods that children consume like colorful breakfast cereals and ice cream with wacky flavors and shades that don't contain artificial coloring. And yet, it's no secret these dyes are problematic. In fact, one study reported that all 9 food dyes approved by the FDA raised legitimate concerns. Here are just a few causes for concern. Red number 3 is known to cause cancer in animals. Red number 40, yellow number 5, and yellow number 6 contain carcinogens. Blue number 1 and number 2, red number 3 and number 40, yellow number 5 and number 6, green number 3 and orange B are all linked to hyperactivity and behavioral problems in kids. Though our attention is naturally drawn to foods with bold colors, such as rainbow bagels, tie-dye cupcakes, and jelly beans, avoiding treats with food dye is one way to get on the path to better health. Even chips such as Doritos and white marshmallows contain dye. Sometimes ingredient labels are written in such small type, they're nearly impossible to read. Now that we've covered our non-negotiable no-nos, let's move to greener pastures, pun intended. Take action now. Get rid of the following foods in your home and avoid them going forward. Unclean meats, including pork, shellfish, and processed meats. Artificial sweeteners. Ultra-processed vegetable and seed oils. Added sugar. Processed white flour. And artificial dyes. Chapter 5. Eat This. In 2008, I, Jordan, planned a nationwide tour to launch a new book and television show, 250 cities in 10 months. Halfway through my tour, I started to experience pain I assumed was coming from a hernia-like bulge in my groin. 10 days later, after what I thought was an inguinal hernia repair surgery, I woke up to news from the surgeon. You have cancer. I was 32 years old and in exceptional health and shape. My diet was excellent. I was a natural health expert who had already written a book on natural treatments for cancer. I had already overcome a life-threatening illness. Irony noted. The doctor said that he needed to run more tests to determine if the cancer had spread. 2 weeks later, my wife and I were in the uro-oncologist's office awaiting the results. The doctor shuffled papers on his desk, pushing folders to the side. Then he stood up. Looking back at us, he said, "There's more to share. I'll be right back with the results of your CT scan." Stunned into silence, Nikki and I tried to absorb a diagnosis notorious for forever dividing life into before and after. I didn't have to be a prophet to know that whatever news he was going to bring wouldn't be positive. But how much worse could it get? With a lump in my throat, I turned to Nikki and said, "I need you to guard the door." As I had done whenever I felt overwhelmed and breathless, I dropped to my knees and acknowledged God's omnipotence. Referencing scripture from the book of Job seemed fitting. Nikki stood like a soldier in front of the door, ensuring our privacy. The cool floor brushed the top of my forehead. Unable to squelch a stream of tears, I cried out to God the prayer of Job. "Naked I came into this world, and naked I shall return. It is the Lord who gives, and the Lord who takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." Job chapter 1, verse 21. This is my way of acknowledging that you are God, and I don't understand this, but I'm going to give you glory. Whatever happens, this cancer diagnosis is in your hands. I trust you to restore what I have lost the way you did with Job. As amen departed from my lips, a faint tap echoed from the door. With a curt nod, the doctor resumed his professional position at his desk, a new folder in hand. "You have metastatic cancer, Jordan. It has already spread throughout your body." I half listened to his ensuing monologue recommending immediate invasive surgery, as well as pre- and post-surgical chemotherapy. The adage, "things get worse before they get better," didn't come out of nowhere. My response was swift. I'd like to treat the cancer naturally. I believe God is going to heal me. "I was afraid you might say that." "Look, Jordan, I know who you are. Let me give it to you straight. If you don't move forward with conventional treatment, there's a 100% chance you're going to die within 3 months. To put it into another perspective, if this was a slow-growing cancer, I'd give you 6 months to fight this on your own." He strongly suggested I visit the medical hospital at Harvard to meet with a doctor he recommended, a world-renowned cancer expert, which I did. After that visit, Nikki and I had even more resolve to fight this cancer with everything we have, inspired by God, who has it all. What those two doctors didn't know was that I wasn't fighting this alone. The great physician was with me. In that moment, despite the doctor's words, I cemented my commitment to kick the cancer back to where it belonged, hell. The goal? Take a great tragedy, and with God, turn it into the greatest triumph. Against my doctor's advice, I decided to give God 40 days to work a miracle, believing He was going to heal me. I committed the next 6 weeks to a journey in physical, spiritual, mental, and emotional healing, including a multifaceted nutrition and cleansing program. I took a sabbatical as CEO from my company at the time, Garden of Life. I embarked on a radical diet and detoxification protocol. I forgave everyone I needed to and asked for forgiveness from others. I also distanced from my life everyone and everything that would counter the healing I believe Jesus paid for on the cross. Finally, I fired every doctor who insisted my death sentence was irreversible. During this time, a good friend who is also a gastroenterologist and internal medicine physician ordered diagnostic tests to monitor my health. The arrangement was based on one condition. "You must promise me," he said, that if in 40 days the results aren't promising, you'll take the conventional medicine route. I agreed, even though I was confident in God's plan to heal me. During the 40 days of walking out my healing, 3 blood tests would measure the cancer marker 3 different ways at weeks 2, 4, and 6 of the program. 0 would mean a normal, non-cancerous range. When I was diagnosed, my test showed 220. The first test during my 40-day journey came back with the following numbers: 32, 26, 20. I was simultaneously elated and skeptical. Still, I continued to believe in my healing. The second blood test showed something even more remarkable. In my entire medical career, Jordan, the lab director began, I've never seen these kinds of results. I tested your blood 3 ways, and the numbers I have are 0, 0, and 0. Tears of joy fell, and yet doubt still threatened my optimism. What if the results are wrong? What if they tested someone else's blood? The third and final blood test, all zeros. I was amazed and relieved and praised God. I went out to dinner with Nikki that night to celebrate the rigorous 40-day program. The CT scan at the end of the 40 days confirmed it. I was cancer-free. Holding that scan in the parking lot of the radiology center, I started weeping like a baby. The healing I believed in was a reality. I had the medical reports to prove it. Modern science had no explanation for why this aggressive cancer had disappeared from my body, but I knew that it was the work of the great physician. Conquering both incurable Crohn's disease and cancer gave me an insatiable desire to share this message of health and hope straight from the Bible with those who are suffering and desperate. The Bible makes multiple references to the healing properties of food. While we often draw inspiration from the faith and lives of historical biblical figures, we don't pay as much attention to the nourishing secrets of their ancient diet. So what can we learn from what the people in the Bible ate? What did your favorite biblical heroes eat? You already know that Adam and Eve ate from a perennial food forest. When God expelled them from the garden, proteins and animal foods became increasingly important to human beings, who were now dependent on heavy labor, physical strength, and speed to survive. Noah drank wine and ate plants, but after the flood, he began eating animals. Abraham and other shepherds mentioned in the Old Testament were nomads, and they didn't have access to a permanent place in which they could garden. They ate meat, dairy, and when they could stay on a plot of land for at least one agricultural season, crops including grains. This is obvious when after the angelic host appeared to Abraham in Genesis chapter 18, he told his wife Sarah to bake some bread and prepare a meal including a fatted calf, curds or cheese, and milk. A quick note on milk. Milk played a significant role in biblical times, appearing 48 times in Scripture. However, the milk consumed then was vastly different from the processed milk available today. In ancient times, milk from cows, sheep, goats, and water buffalo was consumed straight from the animal, meaning it was not pasteurized or homogenized. To preserve it, this milk was often fermented, a natural method that not only extended shelf life, but also enhanced nutritional value. A friend of mine called fermentation a poor man's refrigeration for richness in health because it leads to a wealth of wellness. Milk from animals like sheep and cows was crafted into yogurt or kefir, curdled into cheese or churned into butter. Fermented dairy products are consumed all over the world, including the Middle East and Africa. They are far superior to the milk we find in most grocery stores and offer a slew of health benefits, including disease resistance, gut and immune system efficiency, and a reduction of blood pressure and cholesterol. Today, dairy products have undergone significant changes, with much of the milk sold in grocery stores being heavily processed and lacking the beneficial qualities of its ancient counterpart. We'll explore more modern dairy concerns and healthier alternatives in the next section. Similarly, bread in ancient biblical times looked and tasted nothing like the sliced white loaves lining today's grocery shelves. The primary grains used to make bread were barley and wheat and involved a natural germination or sprouting or fermentation process. Dough was left to ferment naturally, often using wild yeasts present in the environment. This natural leavening process, which could take several hours to a few days, resulted in a more nutritious and digestible product. Unleavened bread or matzah was also significant, especially during religious observances like Passover. Likewise, the fruits and vegetables consumed in biblical times were not the same fruits and vegetables we usually purchase in grocery stores or local food markets. Most fruits and vegetables today have been hybridized and bred for sweetness, beautiful appearance, fewer or no seeds, and a longer shelf life. And while we might be quick to purchase seedless fruit, such as seedless watermelon, which may be less annoying to eat, all fruits in the Bible were seed-bearing. Back to the Israelites. When they were enslaved in Egypt, they enjoyed culinary abundance, replete with meat, fish, melons, cucumbers, and onions. The Israelites also ate red meat, as the Passover meal included lamb. Leviticus chapter 8 details the first consecration ritual for priests, starting with Aaron and his sons. These future religious leaders were instructed to cook meat at the entrance of the tent of meeting and eat it with bread for 7 consecutive days in front of the people of Israel. In the chapters to come, we'll explore the benefits and historical significance of these two biblically essential food groups, both of which were staples in biblical times and are featured in the Biblio diet. For now, it's important to know that meat played a significant role in the diet of the Israelites. Leviticus chapter 11 and Deuteronomy chapter 14 provide specific guidelines on which meats could and should be eaten. But the priests weren't the only ones eating bread and meat. David ate bread, cheese from goat or sheep milk, fruit such as grapes, either plucked off the vine or dried, meat, and fresh milk. Remember Daniel? Bucking the common belief, thanks to the popularity of the Daniel fast, Daniel likely wasn't a strict vegan or vegetarian. The Bible records 2 specific instances where he abstained from meat during a fast, but outside those times, he likely enjoyed meat that adhered to God's dietary laws. Moving forward into the New Testament, based on accounts of Jesus feeding thousands of people, his own recorded meals of bread and fish, that is pre- and post-resurrection, and his Hebraic background, we know his diet would have included bread and fish, and likely a typical diet for the region comprising fruits, vegetables, and clean animal meat like lamb. Add curds and honey, as in the prophecy from Isaiah chapter 7, verse 15, to that list. Side note, when Jesus fasted for 40 days in the wilderness, the devil tempted him to turn stone into bread. The devil's choice of stone was no coincidence. Ancient bread, often round and coarse, looked much like desert stones. It wouldn't be a stretch to imagine that Jesus, after 40 days without food, would have seen the mirage of stones scattered in the sand as loaves of bread. The Biblio diet, rooted in bringing this ancient wisdom to our modern tables, is built on 2 fundamental principles. Number 1, eat only what God created and intended as food. Number 2, eat food in the form that is healthy for the body. This means embracing foods that are as close to their natural state as possible, much like the coarse round bread of biblical times, and staying away from ingredients that dilute the integrity of nutrition God provided for us. Our desert island food picks. John the Apostle, also known as the beloved disciple, was exiled to Patmos for telling others about his faith in Jesus. the Roman government sent criminals to this barren island in the Aegean Sea as punishment. Think Alcatraz. As a prisoner, John didn't get to choose his meals, but we have pretty good reason to believe he would have picked something from our list of must-have foods if we were ever stranded on a desert island. Number 1, red meat, organic and/or grass-fed. Chapter 8 is devoted to meat, so this review will be short. Organic and grass-fed red meat, such as beef, buffalo, lamb, and venison, is a valuable source of nutrients that protect and enhance the immune and circulatory systems. It is nutrient-dense with its high levels of vitamins, minerals, heart-healthy fatty acids, and bioactive amino acids such as taurine for a healthy brain, carnitine for energy, and creatine for muscle strength. Number 2, avocado. Avocado is rich in healthy fats and high in fiber, vitamin E, and potassium. Its many benefits help enhance heart health, encourage weight loss, and keep your digestive tract running smoothly. This superfood even fights cancer cell growth. Number 3, eggs, organic and/or pasture-raised. We'd like to set the record straight. Eggs are excellent for us. Yes, even, or rather especially, the yolk. Eggs are a health dynamo with 6 grams of protein, vitamin B12, vitamin E, riboflavin, folic acid, calcium, zinc, and iron in a mere 70 calories. Here are a few benefits eggs provide. They may help prevent disease, enhance eye health, increase weight loss, support liver function, maintain brain health, and keep skin healthy thanks in part to egg collagen. Eggs are a great source of nutrition to facilitate growth in children who have failure to thrive. More to come in the next chapter. Number 4, sourdough bread. By its very nature, sourdough bread made with a starter culture of wild yeast and bacteria is easier to digest because the bacteria yeast composition starts breaking down starches before reaching the gut. Additionally, the longer fermentation process breaks down much or even most of the gluten, making it easier to digest, particularly for those with gluten sensitivities. Sourdough has a lower glycemic index, making it a better option for maintaining stable blood sugar levels and higher levels of lactic acid, which helps with digestion and reduces harmful phytic acid levels. All that to say, bread made God's way can be good for you. Chapter 9 will explain more. Number 5, A2 cultured dairy. Unlike in biblical times, 95 to 98% of dairy cattle in the United States come from 2 breeds whose milk contains A1 beta-casein. Like gluten, A1 beta-casein has been linked to pro-inflammatory reactions, neurological and immunological issues, and digestive problems. In contrast, milk from humans and original livestock species naturally contains A2 beta-casein, which is easier to digest. Scientists believe that a natural genetic mutation in certain Bos taurus cattle thousands of years ago introduced A1 protein in cows. If you experience discomfort from conventional milk, switching to milk without A1 beta-casein, in other words, A2 cow milk, or goat, sheep, and water buffalo dairy will likely be much more tolerable for you. These types of dairy are becoming readily available in grocery and specialty stores. Additionally, fermented dairy products such as yogurt, kefir, hard cheeses, and cultured cream are excellent options, as fermentation reduces lactose content, making them more digestible for those with dairy sensitivities. We'll take a deeper dive into the health implications of A1 and A2 dairy in Chapter 7. Number 6, pomegranates. It is believed that this messy but tasty biblical fruit has an average of 613 seeds, which is the same number of laws in the Old Testament. Several research studies have shown that pomegranates contain strong anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, anti-obesity, and anti-tumor properties. Pomegranates contain elagitannins, which are bioactive polyphenols that provide anti-inflammatory effects on cells in the body. Researchers have determined that pomegranates promote brain health, specifically memory retention, as well as digestive health. Number 7, bone broth. Bone broth from chicken and beef is one of the most nutritious foods you can consume. Rich in connective tissue-building proteins, such as collagen and gelatin, bone broth is beneficial to joints and friendly on the gut, and provides naturally occurring glucosamine and chondroitin and a host of amino acids. Whether from beef, chicken, or lamb, bone broth is integral to traditional diets worldwide and forms the foundation of gourmet cuisine. These broths are rich in easily absorbable minerals such as calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, and silicon, which can enhance your immune system and help manage conditions such as allergies, asthma, and arthritis. Number 8, wild-caught salmon. Wild-caught rather than farmed salmon stands out as one of the most nutrient-rich foods available. Why wild-caught over farm-raised? Research has shown that farm-raised fish contains only a fraction of heart-healthy omega-3s and is exposed to an abundant level of toxins, antibiotics, and pesticides compared to wild-caught. Farm-raised salmon also are fed a reddish-pink dye in their food to make their flesh an unnatural red color. Wild-caught salmon is renowned for its numerous health benefits, including lifespan extension and the prevention of heart attacks and cancer. Notably, salmon is exceptionally rich in omega-3 fatty acids and is also loaded with various vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants and high-quality protein. Ongoing research continues to reveal a multitude of health benefits associated with salmon. Evidence points to its ability to uplift brain activity and support healthy bones and skin. Do pesticides really carry the same risk of cancer as smoking? The short answer is yes. Alarming findings regarding the health risks associated with pesticide exposure suggest that they may be as detrimental as smoking in increasing the risk of certain cancers. Research indicates that individuals exposed to pesticides, such as in the brand Roundup, particularly agricultural workers or people living in a high-exposure community, face a significantly higher likelihood of developing various types of cancer compared to those who are not exposed. Eating organic is one way to avoid consuming synthetic pesticides. Number 9, organ meats. Organ meats, also known as offal, are loaded with essential vitamins, minerals, and proteins known as peptides that can significantly benefit your health. Historically, many cultures value organ meats for their taste and health benefits. Some cultures consider liver, for example, too sacred for human hands to touch, so that organ can be handled only by a spear or other instrument. The Maasai tribe of Eastern Africa reserves organs such as the heart or kidney for young male warriors and pregnant women. With their high content of coenzyme Q10, a powerful antioxidant, and an assortment of B vitamins, organ meats such as liver, kidneys, sweetbread, which is thymus or pancreas, tripe, bone marrow, and heart are particularly good for nourishing the body's corresponding organs, protecting against anemia, and reducing inflammation. They are also much more nutrient-dense compared to the muscle meats we commonly eat. Take beef liver, for example. It boasts 50 times more vitamin B12 than steak, along with higher amounts of folate and B vitamins than any other food. In terms of vitamins and minerals, It surpasses even kale, spinach, and broccoli. In the animal kingdom, predators prioritize consuming organ meats before other parts of their prey, highlighting how prized and essential this meat is for sustaining life. Number 10. Extra virgin olive oil. The Bible mentions the words olive and olives 53 times. Olive trees have existed for thousands of years. Olive oil, a significant component of ancient diets, remains a staple in modern nutrition, particularly in the Mediterranean diet, which is widely considered one of the healthiest diets in the world. Renowned for its health benefits, high-quality EVOO is rich in anti-inflammatory compounds, antioxidants, and heart-healthy micronutrients. It is associated with reduced inflammation, heart disease, depression, dementia, and obesity, as well as aiding in cancer prevention and brain health. New research has shown the connection between olive oil and a long life. A January 2022 study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology revealed a link between olive oil and longevity. This doesn't come as much of a surprise, considering that olive oil is filled with healthy monounsaturated fats, antioxidants including phenolic compounds, and vitamin E, all of which bolster healthy aging. Highlights from the study include the following. Higher olive oil intake, more than half a tablespoon per day, was associated with a 19% lower risk of dying from cardiovascular disease. People who consumed more olive oil had a 17% lower risk of cancer mortality. High intake also led to a 29% lower risk of death from neurodegenerative disease and an 18% lower risk of death from respiratory disease. To maximize all these benefits, it is crucial to choose genuine, high-quality EVOO. A word of caution, much of the olive oil that lines grocery store shelves isn't pure. Hard to believe? A CBS report found that up to 80% of extra virgin olive oil sold is diluted with other oils and enhancers. Mafia-based corruption in the production process is to blame. Nope, we're not joking. Always look for the bottles indicating that the oil is extra virgin and ideally cold pressed. Quality olive oil should be stored in dark glass bottles to protect it from light, which can degrade its quality. Avoid oils in plastic or clear bottles. Always look for a harvest date on the bottle. Freshness is crucial for the flavor and health benefits of olive oil. A good olive oil should have a distinct, strong aroma. If it smells bland or off, it may not be of high quality. Be cautious of very cheap olive oils. Anything priced below $10 per liter is likely not genuine extra virgin olive oil. One clue that you have quality EVOO is if it solidifies when it's cold and refrigerated. This has to do with the chemical structure of the fatty acids. You can put it in the refrigerator and it should become cloudy and thicken. If it remains liquid, then it's not pure extra virgin. Number 11, virgin coconut oil. Coconut oil tops the charts as one of the healthiest cooking oil options, according to over 1,500 studies. Coconut oil can tolerate extremely high heat, unlike polyunsaturated vegetable oils. Use virgin coconut oil in cooking, baking, and sautéing, and in smoothies. This stable, healthy saturated fat does not hike up undesirable low-density lipoprotein, or LDL, cholesterol, and reduces the symptoms of digestive disorders. Of course, there's more. For a healthier heart, an ally in fighting Alzheimer's disease, an immune system stimulator, a healer of urinary tract infections and kidney infections, and a helpful diabetes manager and more, turn to coconut oil. This desert island food is great for women who have candida yeast infections because of the presence of caprylic acid and other antifungal fatty acids contained in the oil. Because it harmonizes the thyroid and enhances metabolism, coconut oil may be your ally in shedding excess pounds. Number 12, mushrooms. I, Jordan, have been studying the benefits of and formulating products using medicinal mushrooms for nearly 25 years. Since 2014, Josh and I have been growing these immune-boosting titans on our organic Missouri farm. We've pioneered the world's first regenerative organic certified medicinal mushrooms and hold multiple patents for their cultivation and use. While we grow 17 species of mushrooms, we certainly have our favorites: reishi, lion's mane, turkey tail, shiitake, chaga, maitake, and cordyceps. Check out thebibliodiet.com for a deeper dive into the fungi kingdom and how you can benefit from these superfoods. Reishi. The use of reishi mushroom was first recorded over 2,000 years ago. It was frequently referred to as the mushroom of immortality in ancient texts. Over the past several decades, dozens of studies conducted in Japan, China, the United States, and the United Kingdom have demonstrated that reishi mushrooms can offer protection against numerous conditions, including inflammation, fatigue, including chronic fatigue syndrome, frequent infections such as UTIs, bronchitis, respiratory infections, and so on, liver disease, food allergies, asthma, digestive problems, stomach ulcers, leaky gut syndrome, and diabetes. Reishi was one of the go-to supplements I, Josh, had my mom take when she was fighting and overcame cancer. It fortifies the immune system and has been shown to be specifically effective against cancer, especially tumors in the lung, breast, prostate, and bone. Lion's mane. This quirky-looking mushroom, which resembles the scruff of a lion, has long been popular in traditional Chinese medicine for its ability to enhance brain activity. And that's not all. One study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry lists the benefits by stating that lion's mane mushroom is antibiotic, anti-carcinogenic, anti-diabetic, anti-fatigue, anti-hypertensive, anti-hyperlipidemic, anti-aging, cardioprotective, hepatoprotective, nephroprotective, and neuroprotective, and improves anxiety, cognitive function, and depression. Whew! That's quite a list. Turkey tail. The turkey tail mushroom has been shown to modulate the immune system, helping to fight infections and other immune system-related diseases. Turkey tail extract has been used in Asia along with chemotherapy to treat cancer and has been shown to prevent some of the most devastating side effects. With a high concentration of 2 polysaccharides with immune-activating properties, turkey tail mushroom promotes antiviral activity. Evidence also shows that turkey tail mushrooms contribute to gut health, as their polysaccharides act as prebiotics in digestion. This means that they can help the growth of good bacteria, including Acidophilus and Bifidobacterium in the gut microbiome. Shiitake. The shiitake mushroom offers a wide range of potential benefits. It possesses antimicrobial and antiviral properties and may help prevent the growth of cancerous tumors. Among its most notable features are its antioxidant properties, which protect cells from free radicals that can lead to heart disease and other illnesses. Additionally, shiitake mushrooms show promise in preventing and treating conditions such as diabetes and liver damage. They also deliver 8 essential amino acids, fueling strong and vibrant muscles and tissues. Chaga. This tree fungus has been used for thousands of years across Asia and in Siberia. It's known for accelerating energy, strengthening immunity, and lowering inflammation. Chaga is an adaptogen, a unique category of beneficial substances that help stabilize your body's hormones and ease the effects of stress. Chaga mushrooms also have one of the highest oxygen radical absorbance capacity, or ORAC, scores of any food, making them highly beneficial. Maitake. In recent years, the maitake mushroom has garnered worldwide attention as more emerging research continues to unearth its health-promoting benefits. The presence of beta-glucans, specific compounds extracted from the maitake mushroom, has been shown to have therapeutic effects for cancer patients. These medicinal mushrooms have also been associated with a wide variety of health benefits, such as regulating blood sugar and dropping cholesterol levels. They are also considered adaptogens, meaning that they contain dynamic properties that can help naturally restore and balance the body to promote better health. Cordyceps. Cordyceps took the world by storm in 1993 when Chinese female runners shattered records in the 1,500-meter, 3,000-meter, and 10,000-meter events. Their coach credited this remarkable success to a diet rich in cordyceps, suggesting it enhanced the team's exercise capacity through the mushroom's antioxidant properties. Several studies suggest that they can fortify athletic performance, partially because they raise the body's supply of ATP, one of the primary sources of energy during exercise. Also respected for their natural ability to fight free radicals, infections, and inflammation, these impressive disease-fighting fungi have been used for centuries to reduce symptoms of respiratory disorders, coughs, colds, liver damage, and much more. In the chapters to come in this audiobook, you'll find more detailed information about some of the desert island foods I just mentioned. For a deeper dive, visit thebibliodiet.com. The wisest meal on earth. Despite our combined decades of education and expertise in clinical nutrition, functional medicine, and regenerative agriculture, you may still question our endorsement of foods such as meat and bread, especially in combination, which many dietary ideologies have criticized over the years. Consider following the advice of the wisest man on earth, Solomon. Solomon, King David's son, reigned as king of Israel for 40 years under the golden age of the nation. He is famous, of course, for choosing wisdom when God promised Solomon anything he asked for. God honored Solomon's selfless request by granting him riches, honor, longevity, and, of course, wisdom. Even skeptics like the Queen of Sheba were convinced of his otherworldly understanding, which led to Solomon's establishment of the most organized state in Israel's history. So what did the wisest man of all time eat? 1 Kings chapter 4 verses 22 to 24 lays out the daily provisions of Solomon. 30 cores of the finest flour and 60 cores of meal, 10 head of stall-fed cattle, 20 of pasture-fed cattle, and 100 sheep and goats, as well as deer, gazelles, roebucks, and choice fowl. Historians estimate a core to mean anywhere from 35 to 60 gallons. If you do the math, we're looking at 1,050 to 1,800 gallons of flour, 2,100 to 2,600 gallons of meal, and a whole lot of meat. Regardless of the dietary rules you've followed or the nutritional ideologies that have sounded the loudest, the Bible suggests that the wisest meal on earth consists of bread and meat and perhaps very little else. Solomon, the world's wisest and richest man, had unlimited options for his meals. He could eat whatever he wanted, yet he chose grains and meat. The question for us today isn't whether we should or shouldn't eat bread and meat, but how to prepare and consume them for optimal health. If you've avoided bread because of the carbs are bad refrain, it's time to relax and enjoy some of the healthiest and most delicious grains you've probably never heard of. The same goes for non-meat eaters. If you've adopted a vegetarian or vegan diet, believing that meat is harmful, it's time to reset your palate and embrace an omnivore's, or rather, bibliotarian approach. Take action now. Follow the 2 eating principles of the Biblio diet. Number 1, eat only what God created and intended as food. And number 2, eat food in the form that is healthy for our body. Incorporate our desert island foods into your diet. Visit thebibliodiet.com for more information or do your own research. A recap of our desert island foods are red meat, particularly organic and grass-fed, avocado, eggs, organic and pasture-raised, sourdough bread, A2 cultured dairy, bone broth from chicken or beef, mushrooms, wild-caught salmon, organ meats, extra virgin olive oil, pomegranates, and virgin coconut oil. Chapter 6. Fat, the good and the misunderstood. In college, I, Jordan, was a cheerleader, the closest I got to being a Division I athlete. Before getting sick, I was in great shape, staying active and eating what I thought was a healthy diet. For whatever reason, though I was knowledgeable about nutrition, I fell prey to the fat-free craze of the 1990s. Remember Snackwells? You may relate to eating packs and packs of the fat-free, airy chocolate cakes covered in tasteless marshmallow and waxy chocolate, or the popular vanilla sandwich cookies with a plop of dry cream in the middle. Indulging in these quote-unquote guiltless sugary treats, munching on Olestra-soaked Wow chips by Frito-Lay, slurping watery, fat-free yogurt, or, like me, wolfing down the dense, fat-free muffins my parents sent to me in college, we all imagined we were consuming the healthiest food possible. Some of these were not only completely unappetizing and absent of nutritional benefits, but also, unbeknownst to most people, alarmingly high in sugar, supposedly offset by their fat-free status. Because of all the unsubstantiated claims that fat was harmful, I became obsessed with eliminating fat from my diet and focused on consuming as many carbs as possible. In hindsight, this strategy was severely flawed. I've learned a lot since my college days. One of my biggest nutritional realizations is that fat is not bad. In fact, certain fats are the unsung heroes of a healthy diet. For the past almost 30 years, most of the calories I consume have come from healthy oils, grass-fed and organic meat, wild-caught fish, pasture-raised eggs, and full-fat dairy. Let's take a quick trip through time to see how fat's reputation has evolved. A glimpse into the evolution of fat. From the 1950s through the 1990s, public health guidelines in many countries recommended reducing fat intake. This was largely due to the influence of physiologist and nutritionist Ansel Keys, whose research in the 1950s linked saturated fats to increased cholesterol and heart disease risk, leading to the widespread belief that all fats were harmful, fueling the rise of low-fat and fat-free products. This perception was further reinforced in the late 1960s when the sugar industry funded studies published in the New England Journal of Medicine that shifted the blame for coronary heart disease from sugar to dietary fat. As a result, fat was unjustly vilified for decades. From the 1990s through 2000s, emerging research began to suggest that not all fats were created equal, and not all were harmful. The role of trans fats and their link to heart disease gained attention. Dr. Robert Atkins popularized the idea that carbohydrate restriction rather than fat restriction was key to weight loss and health. Enter the low-carb craze, where dieters embraced bacon and smothered meals in cheese. In the last decade, we've arrived at a more nuanced understanding of fat and its complexity. Certain fats are now seen as beneficial and even crucial, while ultra-processed vegetable oils and trans fats are avoided. Saturated fats are viewed cautiously by some and importantly by others, but they are no longer universally condemned. High-fat, lower-carb diets like keto, paleo, and carnivore have gained mainstream acceptance. Modern nutritional guidelines now call for a balanced fat intake, emphasizing the importance of healthy fats, advising moderation with saturated fats, and avoiding trans fats. Our goal for you is to gain health not by following trends or fads, but by learning the nutritional science behind dietary fat. But first, let's see what the Bible has to say about fat. Our biblical ancestors enjoyed a diet rich in healthy fats whenever they were able to procure them. While the modern connotation of the word fat is mostly negative, the Hebrew word for fat, heleb, is used in a positive manner, such as the richest part of the animal and the best of any production. More than a plump body size, fat in the biblical context had to do with abundance and acceptable sacrifice. Leviticus chapter 3, verse 16, and chapter 7, verses 23 through 25 highlight that the fat of the offerings was considered the best part and was reserved for God. Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 10 illustrates the use of fat as a symbol of celebration. The Bible also includes several references to the fat of the land or fatness of the land. See Genesis chapter 27, verse 28, and verse 39, as well as Genesis chapter 45, verse 18, and points to the fatted calf as being the choicest of animal foods and brought out as the main dish in celebrations. See 1 Samuel chapter 28, verse 24, Amos chapter 6, verse 4, and Luke chapter 15, verse 23. Now that we see that fat is where it's at, let's continue to set the record straight by identifying common myths about fat and understanding why they are nothing but lies. 5 fallacies about fat. Drawing from our combined nearly 50 years of expertise in nutrition and wellness, we've heard it all when it comes to popular fallacies about fat. Here are the top 5 statements we've encountered and busted. Number 1, eating fat makes you fat. Number 2, saturated fat is always bad. Number 3, eating fat causes high cholesterol and heart disease. Number 4, vegetable and seed oils are always the best option. And number 5, fatty foods are unhealthy. Let's unpack these myths in further detail. Myth number 1, eating fat makes you fat. Truth number 1, eating the right fats makes you feel full and promotes healthy digestion. You are not going to get fat eating foods containing good fats. You gain weight by consuming high carbohydrate foods loaded with sugars and starches that quickly release into the bloodstream as glucose and cause a spike in insulin, triggering fat storage. A 2016 study review indicated that the Mediterranean diet, which includes plenty of heart-healthy fats from sources like fish, nuts, and olive oil, provides more substantial long-term weight loss benefits compared to a low-fat diet. Consuming healthy fats helps us feel full. Without them, we would be hungry within minutes of finishing a meal. So no, eating the right fats will not pack on the pounds, but it may help take some of the excess away. Sure, eating the wrong fats, like fast food and packaged desserts, may add pounds to your midsection, clog your arteries, and put you at risk for developing cancer. But eating too little fat is just as deadly. As we've already discussed, you must eat the right fats. Foods loaded with omega-3 polyunsaturated fats, polyphenol-rich monounsaturated fats, and healthy saturated fats. These good fats are found in a wide range of foods, including salmon, lamb and goat meat, goat and sheep milk and cheese, avocados, eggs, walnuts, and olives. Fats rich in omega-3 and saturated fatty acids, such as odd-chain, medium-chain, and short-chain fatty acids, play a crucial role in the body's cellular health and can promote healthy digestion and even longevity. Myth number 2. Saturated fat is always bad. Truth number 2. Many sources of saturated fat are healthy and rich in important nutrients. For the last several decades, Americans avoided saturated fats based on erroneous advice. At the same time, they increased their consumption of polyunsaturated and hydrogenated fats instead. If you're an anti-saturated fattian, keep listening for the benefits of saturated fat. Number 1. Our body's cell membranes are made up of at least 50% saturated fatty acids. Number 2. They support our immune system. Number 3. They are crucial for bone health. They facilitate the incorporation of calcium and other minerals into the skeletal system, requiring that at least half of dietary fats be saturated. Number 4. They reduce levels of Lp(a), a blood marker associated with heart disease risk, and help protect the liver from damage caused by alcohol and other toxins. Number 5. They are the preferred energy source for the heart muscle, especially during stress. And number 6, they protect the digestive tract from harmful microorganisms as they contain antimicrobial properties. While there are certainly some foods high in saturated fat that we need to consume in moderate amounts because of their caloric density and to match our activity level and metabolic rate, many sources of saturated fat are super healthy and rich in important nutrients. Grass-fed beef, for example, contains a hearty dose of protein, niacin, zinc, and selenium, along with a host of other essential vitamins and minerals, with a balanced level of fats, including C18 and C16 fatty acids. Similarly, dark chocolate is high in saturated fat, but also rich in antioxidants, manganese, and copper. Other healthy options include full-fat dairy, eggs, coconut oil, grass-fed butter, and ghee. Not all saturated fat is created equal. Alongside nutritious foods high in saturated fat, some not-so-healthy options exist. These include ultra-processed meats, eggs from chickens in confined feeding operations, high-sugar baked goods, and prepackaged deep-fried snacks. While these foods do often contain some saturated fat, they also often contain additives, trans fats, sodium, carcinogenic compounds, or chemicals that should be avoided at all costs. Myth number 3. Eating fat causes high cholesterol and heart disease. Truth number 3. Heart disease isn't caused by fat or cholesterol, but by inflammation and oxidation from ultra-processed foods. Saturated fat has been demonized for years, mainly because it was thought to raise cholesterol levels, which in turn was believed to lead to heart disease. This assumption led to widespread recommendations to cut down on saturated fat intake. Cholesterol is a fatty, wax-like substance present throughout the body. It plays an essential role in forming cell membranes and is crucial for producing hormones, vitamin D, and bile acids. When there's too much low-density lipoprotein, or LDL, in the blood, it is a sign that you may have narrowed arteries, raising the risk of heart disease. Conversely, high-density lipoprotein, or HDL, is largely beneficial because it travels through the bloodstream, picking up excess cholesterol and transporting it to the liver for removal. Cholesterol isn't the villain in heart disease. It's a vital substance that combats free radicals in the blood and aids in healing arterial damage. Interestingly, arterial plaques contain very little cholesterol. Cholesterol is a primary building block for reproductive hormones, such as testosterone and estrogen. However, cholesterol can become harmful when it's oxidized, typically through exposure to heat and oxygen. This oxidized cholesterol can damage arterial cells and contribute to plaque buildup. Ultra-processed foods like powdered eggs, powdered milk, which is often added to reduced fat milks, and chemically preserved meats like pepperoni that are typically loaded with preservatives are common sources of oxidized cholesterol. Elevated serum cholesterol levels often signal the body's need to defend itself against high levels of altered fats. Recent research has debunked the myth that fat increases cholesterol levels and the risk of cardiac issues. For example, a 2010 meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found no significant evidence that dietary saturated fat is associated with an increased risk of coronary heart disease or cardiovascular disease. A study published in 2021 followed almost 10,000 women for 15 years to investigate the effects of carbohydrates and saturated fat intake on heart disease and other serious illnesses and conditions. Findings concluded that increased saturated fat intake was not associated with a higher risk of heart disease or death. Another massive review published in the Annals of Internal Medicine confirmed the same. It's time to rethink the blanket defamation of saturated fats and focus on the bigger picture of overall diet and lifestyle. The real culprit is trans fatty acids in such supposedly quote-unquote healthy foods as margarine, vegetable shortening, and foods made with them, not to mention excess consumption of refined sugar. Could it be we're all too hyper-focused on cholesterol when we really should focus on reducing inflammation, which is the root cause of heart disease? For better health, let's turn our attention from cholesterol to reducing inflammation and oxidation through diet. It's all about getting to the root cause of disease. Your liver starts to produce cholesterol as your body's repair substance. This happens because inflammation and oxidation are taking place in your arteries. Imagine your arteries as pipes in your home. If your pipe is damaged and springs a leak, you need to patch and repair the area. The problem isn't high cholesterol, but an inflammatory lifestyle. Heart disease should be blamed not on animal fats or cholesterol, but on excess consumption of vegetable oils, hydrogenated fats, and refined carbohydrates, vitamin and mineral deficiencies, and the reduction or disappearance of antimicrobial fats from the food supply, which are found in animal fats and tropical oils. Myth number 4. Vegetable and seed oils are always the best option. Truth number 4. Olive oil is the better bet. Based on what you've heard in this book about vegetable and seed oils so far, you should be able to debunk this myth on your own. Vegetable and seed oils are refined, bleached, deodorized, and injected with chemicals, and should be removed from your diet and your kitchen. How about this for a not-so-fun fact? When you eat a typical 5-ounce serving of French fries cooked in vegetable oil at a popular fast food chain, you're consuming the same amount of toxic acrylamides, which are cancer-causing chemicals, as you would smoking 20 cigarettes. A superior choice? Olive oil, preferably extra virgin olive oil, or EVOO, which you were introduced to in Chapter 5. Though olives, technically fruits, are often grouped with vegetables, making olive oil a type of vegetable oil, they stand apart. Unlike many vegetable and seed oils, EVOO isn't chemically manufactured or heavily processed, preserving its natural benefits and robust flavor. A common misconception floating around about olive oil is that it's a no-no for cooking. Not true. EVOO isn't just okay to cook with, it's actually one of the safest and most stable oils you can use in your kitchen. You might have heard that an oil's smoke point, is the be-all and end-all when it comes to cooking safety, but the real indicators of an oil's cooking stability are its antioxidant content and fat profile. EVOO is a superstar in both departments. It's packed with stable monounsaturated fats and brimming with antioxidants. So whether you're deep frying, roasting, sautéing, or baking, EVOO extra virgin olive oil is ready to step up to the plate. You can also try pouring it in its original form, along with vinegar, herbs, and spices, in place of store-bought dressings, which are laden with ultra-processed ingredients such as seed oils. Myth number 5. Fatty foods are unhealthy. Truth number 5. Our bodies need fat, specifically healthy fat. Choose high-quality fats and include them in your diet. If you're wondering what healthy fats are, let's dive in. We'll break down the fatty essentials and uncover why they are crucial for your diet. From strengthening your brain to promoting heart health, healthy fats are more than just a diet staple. They're your secret weapon for optimal wellness. The skinny on fats. In the world of nutrition, protein, carbohydrates, and fats reign supreme as essential macronutrients. Fats, however, take on the critical duty of crafting the structural framework for cell membranes, the material that surrounds every cell. A significant portion of our nervous system and brain is composed of fat, highlighting its importance beyond mere energy storage. In addition to structural reinforcement, fats are involved in various metabolic processes and supply the body with vitamins such as A, D, E, and K. They also serve as our energy reserve, insulating the body and cushioning vital organs. If you're not getting enough fat, your body won't operate properly. With 9 calories per gram of fat, more than double the calories provided by carbs or protein, fats are the most energy-efficient form of food. What does that mean? The body can store fat more efficiently than carbohydrates. While carbohydrates are stored as glycogen in the liver and muscles, which can only hold limited amounts, fat is stored in adipose tissue, which has a much larger storage capacity. This allows the body to stockpile energy for longer periods of fasting or low food availability. As we've pointed out already, not all fats are created equal. Fats or lipids are composed of chains of carbon atoms bonded with hydrogen atoms to create structures known as fatty acids. There are 2 main types, unsaturated and saturated. Unsaturated fats. Unsaturated fats include both monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats. These fats liquefy at room temperature and are widely considered beneficial for heart health, but in reality, only unprocessed unsaturated fats are truly beneficial for the body, and only in the correct ratio. Keep listening for more. They help balance cholesterol levels and provide essential nutrients. Here's a closer look at both types. Polyunsaturated fats include omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, which are essential fats your body needs but can't produce. Omega-3s are the secret weapon for a healthy heart, inflammation's toughest opponent, and a brain power-up. They also help prevent diseases. Sources of omega-3 polyunsaturated fats include fatty fish, such as salmon, sardines, and mackerel, flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts. Omega-6 fats are essential fats that provide energy for the body. However, too much can spike inflammation in the body and lead to problems such as heart disease, cancer, and autoimmune conditions. The body uses omega-6s to make pro-inflammatory compounds, which the immune system uses to increase inflammation in response to disease or injury. Foods that are high in omega-6 fats include grains, most nuts and seeds, vegetable and seed oils, store-bought salad dressings, store-bought mayonnaise, ultra-processed meats from factory-farmed animals, margarine, shortening, ultra-processed and packaged foods, and fast food. So how can you strike a balance? Consume more omega-3 fats than omega-6 fats. Human beings in pre-industrial times had an omega-6 to omega-3 ratio somewhere between 4:1 and 1:4, most falling somewhere in between. Today, those numbers are much higher, between 16 and 20:1. The best way to keep this fat in check is to choose whole, unprocessed foods over packaged, processed ones. Monounsaturated fats help balance cholesterol levels, lower the risk of heart disease and stroke, and provide nutrients to help develop and maintain body cells. Sources include olive oil, avocado, macadamia nuts, meat, eggs, and sesame seeds. Saturated fats. Saturated fats aid in bone health because they help absorb calcium into the skeletal system and provide fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. They improve lipid profiles by increasing HDL cholesterol, which is usually called the, quote, good kind, and decrease triglycerides, and make LDL, often called, quote, bad cholesterol, particles larger and less risky. You can find saturated fat in grass-fed animal meat, pasture-raised dairy, eggs, and coconut oil. A well-balanced and nutritious diet should include a good mix of monounsaturated, certain polyunsaturated, and saturated fats from healthy sources. The one fat that should never find itself in your body or home is trans fat. Trans fats are created by hydrogenation, a process used to increase the flavor and texture while extending the shelf life of vegetable oils. Think margarine or shortening. Because trans fats are much cheaper to make than animal fats or tropical oils, the food industry prefers to use oils made from soy, canola, corn, and cottonseed. You've already been educated on the dangers of vegetable and seed oils. It's best to greatly reduce them or eliminate them completely from your diet, as they provide zero benefit. Remember Weston A. Price, the doctor who studied the health and longevity secrets of primitive civilizations such as the Australian Aboriginal people? In his analysis of the foods eaten by these groups, he discovered that their diets provided at least 4 times the water-soluble vitamins, calcium, and other minerals, and at least 10 times the fat-soluble vitamins found in animal foods such as butter, fatty fish, wild game, and organ meats. Known for their remarkable health and physical strength, the Maasai tribe lives in Kenya and northern Tanzania. The warrior culture, called Moranism, is deeply ingrained in these people. Young Maasai men undergo rigorous training and initiation rites to become warriors, a phase that prepares them for roles as protectors of the community and livestock. Scientists from Vanderbilt University studied this tribe in the 1960s. Despite eating a high-fat diet, with over half of their calories coming from fat, mostly in the form of milk, meat, and blood, the Maasai had among the lowest cholesterol levels ever recorded in healthy people. This medical mystery was investigated further in the 1970s when a doctor concluded that the Maasai's ability to reduce cholesterol production was genetically superior because of their long-term isolation. However, this theory has since been debunked. Later studies, including one by Dr. Jose Day, found higher cholesterol levels among urbanized Maasai in Nairobi, challenging the genetic hypothesis. More recent research by scientists at the University of Copenhagen's Department of International Health, Immunology and Microbiology show consistent evidence of this tribe's high dietary fat intake, yet low incidences of heart problems. Of the studied Maasai over the age of 18, researchers determined that 8.7% had high blood pressure, compared with 50% of Americans, and 3% had high cholesterol. That's compared with 35.7% of Americans who had their cholesterol tested and were told by their doctor that it was high. Despite eating a lot more dietary fat, particularly from animal meat, than what is recommended today, primitive people and indigenous populations have the lowest cholesterol and triglyceride levels. Moving on to some healthy, fattier food options. 5 superpowered fats and how to use them. Here's a sneak peek at the nutrient and fat-packed foods you'll be enjoying on the Biblio diet. Coconut and coconut oil. There's a reason these oils are 2 of our desert island foods. Researchers are particularly interested in medium-chain triglycerides, or MCTs, like those found in coconut oil, because of their potential health benefits. A 2023 study revealed that incorporating MCTs like those found in coconut oil into a low-calorie keto diet significantly reduced body weight, body mass index, or BMI, and waist circumference. With its antiviral and antifungal properties, coconut oil can work wonders for people with digestive problems, such as an overgrowth of yeast and potentially high levels of virus in their systems. We recommend that people with digestive problems consume 2 to 4 tablespoons of extra virgin coconut oil per day, or the equivalent in coconut products such as coconut meat, milk, cream, and butter. Coconut oil is also great for cooking. When heated to deep frying temperatures, it will not oxidize, a process that diminishes potency. It's also easy to add to your diet. All you have to do is think intentionally about adding extra virgin coconut oil whenever you pull out a saucepan to cook scrambled eggs, or glaze diced onions, or heat up leftovers. We even add a tablespoon of coconut oil to our smoothies when whipping up breakfast. Eggs are one of our desert island foods for a reason. While we prefer duck eggs over chicken eggs because they have 8 times more vitamin B12, pasture-raised eggs from chickens or even geese and turkeys are incredible. No need to throw out the yolk. It contains more micronutrients, such as vitamins and minerals like selenium, than the white part. While eggs are high in cholesterol, which is great for brain and hormonal health, they are also high in omega-3 fatty acids, which may help relieve inflammation, reduce blood cholesterol levels, and lower triglycerides. Eggs contain one of the best sources of choline, 147 milligrams per single egg, a nutrient crucial for brain health, liver function, and the development of the fetal brain during pregnancy. Akin to the B vitamin family, choline is a precursor of acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter vital for the vagus nerve, which controls several organs such as the lungs, heart, liver, and stomach, and even parts of the brain related to memory. One study found that over 90% of Americans tested were deficient in choline. The yolk contains most of the choline, 680 milligrams per 100 grams, compared to only 1 milligram in egg whites. Eggs also contain lutein, which has been shown to prevent age-related macular degeneration. You can see why it's better to eat them than to avoid them. A proud adventurous food moment of mine, Jordan's, involved eating a preserved duck egg topped with a crunchy dried locust. You heard me right, a grasshopper. The egg tasted like a rubbery hard-boiled egg with a strong vinegar taste. The locust, like a dried kale chip with a bit more crunch. Not terrible at all. You certainly don't have to consume these exotic eggs, or insects for that matter, but when possible, we recommend buying eggs directly from farms where the chickens or ducks are allowed to roam free and eat their natural diet, or Purchase eggs marked DHA or high omega-3 eggs. Tallow. Before fast food restaurants like McDonald's, Wendy's, and Popeyes started using hydrogenated vegetable and seed oils to make their French fries, these companies used tallow, beef or sheep fat. Tallow is similar in appearance and texture to butter, but has a slightly different taste and a drier, waxy texture. For those with lactose intolerance or dairy allergies, tallow is a great alternative to butter. Tallow is more expensive to make than hydrogenated vegetable and seed oils, so it's no surprise that in the early 1900s, food companies started replacing this healthy fat with cheaper and unhealthy oils like margarine. Heat stable and with a high smoke point, tallow is the best cooking fat for deep frying or high heat frying. Look for tallow sourced from grass-fed cows at a local farmer's market or health food store. You may also be able to find it at your local butcher shop. Tallow is also great to use topically as a face cream or wound healing salve, or combined with zinc oxide as an amazing sunscreen. Grass-fed butter. Butter's beauty lies in its simplicity. It's made from just one main ingredient: cream. Butter is crafted by churning fresh or fermented cream, which separates the butter fat from the buttermilk. The result? A delicious dairy product that's about 80% fat and packed with around 400 different fatty acids, not to mention a solid dose of fat-soluble vitamins. Let's talk about the superstar of butters, grass-fed butter. Compared to its grain-fed counterpart, grass-fed butter features a higher nutrient profile. Cows that graze on grass produce milk, and therefore butter, that's richer in fatty acids and vitamins. Research shows that grass-fed dairy is loaded with conjugated linoleic acid, or CLA, a potent compound known for its immune-reinforcing and disease-fighting properties. When you opt for grass-fed butter, you're not just enhancing your meals, you're also increasing your intake of healthful nutrients like butyric acid, which has been shown to reduce inflammation, particularly in the intestines of individuals with Crohn's disease. Stop with the margarine, which is often made with the hateful 8, such as canola and corn oil, and is high in trans fats and omega-6 fats, all of which lead to inflammation and other health issues. So-called healthy spreads like Country Crock are made from partially hydrogenated soybean, palm kernel, and palm oil. And plant-based butter? Like plant-based oils, this type of butter relies on highly processed vegetable oils such as sunflower, safflower, and grapeseed. Ghee, a member of the butter family, is a fantastic addition to your diet, offering incredible health benefits and a delicious nutty flavor that enhances any dish. By heating butter to remove the milk solids and water, you get clarified butter. But when you take it a step further and simmer it longer, you get ghee, bringing out a rich flavor and a higher smoke point. This means ghee can handle high cooking temperatures without breaking down into harmful compounds. Ghee is rich in beneficial fatty acids and loaded with fat-soluble vitamins like A, E, and K. It's a wellness champion that supports everything from your immune system to your skin health. Ghee is loaded with CLA, which is linked to numerous health benefits, including fat loss, cancer prevention, inflammation reduction, and even blood pressure management. You can find ghee in your local grocery store, check the international food section, online retailers, health food stores, and Indian supermarkets. Extra virgin olive oil. We've assigned this oil as one of our desert island superfoods for good reason. Olive oil plays a star-studded role throughout the Bible. From anointing kings, priests, and sacred objects to healing wounds, its practical and sacred uses abound. This ancient superfood wasn't just applied topically, it also symbolizes the Holy Spirit, joy, gladness, prosperity, and blessing. Olive oil was revered long before modern health and nutrition experts caught on. Diets high in EVOO, including the famous Mediterranean diet, are associated with a lower incidence of atherosclerosis, cardiovascular disease, and certain types of cancer, according to a large 2020 review of clinical studies. EVOO is mainly made up of monounsaturated fatty acids, the most important of which is called oleic acid. According to an international conference about olive oil, there is widespread opinion that extra virgin olive oil should indeed be the fat of choice when it comes to human health. Olive oil phenolics have positive effects on certain physiological parameters, including inflammatory markers, oxidative damage, and cellular function. Olive oil consumption seems capable of contributing to healthy insulin sensitivity and reducing excess insulin, a hormone that controls blood sugar levels and can make us gain weight. As you heard earlier, fats are satiating and help reduce hunger, cravings, and overeating. This is one reason why numerous studies have found that diets low in fat don't result in weight loss or weight management as easily or often as balanced diets do. Swap that fat for this fat. Ultra-processed hydrogenated vegetable or seed oil, such as canola, swapped for organic coconut oil, red palm oil, organic grass-fed butter, or ghee. Corn or any ultra-processed vegetable or seed oil swapped for organic coconut oil, olive oil, avocado oil, or red palm oil. Mayonnaise made with soy oil swapped for avocado-based mayo. Margarine swapped for grass-fed butter. Milk chocolate swapped for dark chocolate. Packaged salad dressing swapped for homemade dressing made with extra virgin olive oil and a mix of vinegar and spices. We're not telling you to load up on fatty foods, but if you have hesitated in fat consumption for fear of weight gain or heart problems, it's time to put your knowledge of healthy fat to work. A good rule of thumb is to steer clear of highly processed fats that are pumped full of additives and unhealthy ingredients. Now, what are you waiting for? Toss those ultra-processed vegetable and seed oils into the trash and find some healthy fats to substitute in your diet. Take action now. Stop worrying. Eating the right fat will not make you fat or cause high cholesterol and disease. Focus on healthy fats found in extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, pastured tallow, grass-fed butter, and ghee. Stay away from using ultra-processed vegetable and seed oils and any foods labeled with those ingredients. Chapter 7. The Land of Milk